Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi, my name is Derek Van Dyke, and I'm the producer/editor/co-host of Super Deluxe Gamescast, also known as just SDGC. For today's Fun and Games side quest, I want to talk about Yakuza 0. While every game in Sega's Yakuza franchise is more or less approachable on its own terms, 0 serves as a prequel to the entire series, and it embodies everything great about the Yakuza franchise as a whole. This makes it the perfect starting point for those looking to get into the series, but maybe feel intimidated by the number of entries. To be honest, I think that's a position most Western gamers were in with the Yakuza franchise before 0. While the Series 5 previous main games saw consistent releases on PlayStation platforms since its debut in 2005, it's always struggled to become anything more than a niche cult favorite here in the West. Hell, Yakuza 5 took 3 whole years to release outside Japan. I think my own relationship with the Yakuza franchise prior to 0 will probably sound familiar to a lot of people. I had heard of Yakuza, I understood that the games were highly beloved by those few who had played them, but I never really looked too deeply into any specifics. I think I assumed on some level that they were relatively dry, gameplay-light crime dramas that were maybe closer to those weird Shenmue games I'd heard about than anything else. If you couldn't guess, that's a painfully wrong take. It's not a joke to say that Yakuza 0 and the franchise as a whole owes its newfound Western success to a chicken. A week before the game's release, a clip from a review copy was shared on Twitter where protagonist Kazuma Kiryu wins a turkey dinner in a bowling tournament. Except, due to a mix-up at the bowling alley, the turkey dinner was a chicken dinner. Except, due to a mix-up at the bowling alley, the chicken dinner was a live chicken. Kiryu declines the employee's offer to slaughter and cook the chicken for him, deciding instead to keep it as a pet. When the conversation ends, an award screen pops up, telling us that the chicken has been recruited into Kiryu's real estate empire as an advisor. That chicken's name is Nugget, and he has a 3-star rating in Financial Savvy. That clip went viral in enthusiast gaming circles, causing a surge in last-minute pre-orders, and that word of mouth just kept snowballing after the game released. Fast forward to now, and the West has seen successful releases of Yakuza 6, remakes of Yakuza 1 and 2, and remasters of 3, 4, and 5. You see, what most of us didn't realize, but we're about to learn, is that Yakuza has always had something of a dual identity. Yakuza 0, like the rest of the franchise, is a deep, complex, character-driven crime thriller with an aggressive flair for street brawling. It's just also a collection of weird, wacky side stories and minigames with a sort of absurdist, slapstick sense of humor. It's like if the movie Oldboy had a dance battle, and a sequence about RC car racing, and a subplot about teaching a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young dominatrix how to do her job right because she's just too nice. It honestly should not fit together as well as it does. I think, much like how Nugget the Chicken and his fancy new realtor's license sold many of us on Yakuza 0, I think fans have a tendency to highlight this silliness when trying to sell the game to new players. The game does too, throwing you into a karaoke session minigame before you've even finished the opening. And honestly, they're not wrong to. One of Yakuza 0's strengths is in those distractions. You can take breaks from the main story to earn prizes at baseball batting cages, or play classic Sega arcade games, and manage a cabaret club in a minigame so fucking good it could be its own budget title. Sega, I'm fucking serious. Release the Cabaret Club minigame standalone. Put it on my phone. I will give you money. I will pay the microtransactions. I don't care. Anyway, sorry. Got myself worked up there. The point is, I think that we have a tendency to talk about the silly stuff when we're talking about the series and trying to get people to be interested in it. And I think this is just a way to catch people's attention because it's a little difficult to really sell just how good the core story is. Let's be real here, I think the average American's relationship with crime dramas sounds something like, yeah, I've seen a couple of Scorsese films, I saw The Departed, right? Yeah, no, definitely, I did see that, that was him? Sure, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was like it won a bunch of awards or something? Yeah, it was good, I'll probably watch one of those again someday. Like, we like the idea of these big, dry crime dramas, I think more than we actually enjoy them. But Yakuza is not that. There's a reason I compared it to Oldboy earlier. The game puts you in the shoes of younger versions of both the series protagonist Kazuma Kiryu and fan favorite ensemble dark horse Goro Majima. Kiryu, a hot-blooded and naive low-level Yakuza enforcer, gets framed for a murder that brings unwanted attention to his boss's schemes. The bitter and cynical Majima, meanwhile, has been exiled to running the upscale Cabaret Grand, but gets an offer to leave his comfortable prison and earn his chance at returning to the Yakuza's good graces. Both stories intersect with the mystery of a small, empty lot in the red light district, and the big players trying to get their hands on the seemingly inconsequential plot of land. I don't really want to give more details than that, because to me the story really is the ride, but trust me when I say it's one hell of a ride. A lot of people get into Yakuza 0 because they were promised these wacky side stories, and then find themselves skipping the side content just to see more of the story. That's pretty much the best praise anyone can give. I think the moment I knew the game was for me was a little bit into the game's opening hours when the game first lets you loose on like a real action set piece. Kiryu, under immense pressure from the officers ranking above him to go take the fall and go to prison, manages to outwit one of them and convince them to disown him from the Yakuza first. Now, no longer bound by Yakuza rules and authority, Kiryu can allow himself to fight through the Yakuza-infested office complex. I gotta tell ya, this sequence kicks ass. It just fucking slaps. It's like a fight scene from a classic Jackie Chan flick, just comically long, and you beat people with chairs and tables, and there's this one fucking guy who kept coming back. My dude, you are like the Yakuza equivalent of a retail supervisor. There is no chance you are getting paid enough for how much I'm beating the shit out of you. I put your head through the bathroom porcelain like how many times? I think I beat him with an ashtray. How are you fucking back? And then it all culminates in the first true boss fight against one of the Yakuza lieutenants, and you both just like strip your shirts off and flex your stupidly intricate cool ass Yakuza tats, and then you just beat the shit out of each other and your fists are on fire for some fucking reason, and the game doesn't bother explaining it because you don't need a reason. Your fists are on fire. It's just dramatic. It's just good, y'all. And then you get these quiet, dramatic moments where characters learn about the conspiracies and power plays being operated around them and against them, and all this great introspection about how permanently you screw yourself by getting involved in this gangster life. And then you dress up in pastels and pretend to be a big shot producer for television and bumble your way through filming a product infomercial because the real producer stayed home that day and the crew saw you walking past and they needed literally anyone's help. And then you go to a Yakuza base, and the game goes, "Hey, are you tired of being nice yet? Don't you just want to go ape shit?" And you go, "No, I need to win that UFO out of the crane game for this little girl." And then you do, and then you actually move on, and then you turn into a whirlwind of pain and just rip inhuman amounts of ass while the game sits back and nods like that one Jack Nicholson gif, except the game is actually Tony Jaa, because only Tony Jaa can deal this much damage to so many human beings at once using only the meat pendulums attached to his body. Yakuza 0 is something else. There's just so many aspects to this game, and every part of it is good. Funny side quests with minigames that are fun to play, a genuinely good crime thriller story, great combat that doesn't wear out its welcome. Hell, I didn't even get into the performances. The main characters are pretty clearly all based on facial sculpts and performances from real Japanese actors. So there's this great like realness and variety in faces and great acting, and every single person looks very authentically Japanese in a way that's very rare even in Japanese developed and published games. Like it's just good. All of it's so fucking good. It's extremely rare for a game to have this much breadth and depth, and to nail basically every single aspect of itself. If you're curious about the Yakuza franchise, give 0 a shot. If you're not in the mood to start a massive franchise, even though every single main release is available right now on PS4, so you don't have to hunt down a bunch of classic systems and overpriced pre-owned copies, give 0 a shot anyway, and just don't move on past that, except you will because you're going to love it. Don't let my boy Nugget down. Play Yakuza 0. Thank you for coming with me on this side quest. Happy gaming. I think I need a cigarette after that.
Hey Nerferders, my name is Case Aiken, and for over 2 years I've hosted my show, Another Pass, where I sit down with interesting guests to talk about movies that we find fascinating but flawed. Good movies, bad movies, doesn't matter. we find ways that they could have been improved. So if you ever thought that a sequel dropped the ball by forgetting about a plotline, that an epic could have been saved by introducing the director to an editor, or that a comedy didn't work hard enough to have some substance behind the laughs, then check out Another Pass podcast at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.